the most powerful tool for raising a kinder, most peaceful world fits right into a child's backpack. We often think that global understanding requires a lot of travel or learning different languages, but the truth is it can start simpler. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to look at how books can teach kids to step into another culture, feel someone else's fears and hopes, and start seeing the world as us instead of them. I'm Dr. Emily Sherwood, and today I'll show you exactly how stories build empathy and which kinds of books of kids make the biggest difference in your home or classroom. So, all around the world right now, people are tuning into what's going on with Venezuela. And one thing that I'm seeing a lot of is a lot of misinformation. People don't really understand what's going on. They have this idea of people being different than them, and that's hard for them to wrap their heads around. And so there's a lot of misinformation out there, and a lot of it comes from a place of just not knowing. And part of building a better, more peaceful world is knowing about other cultures, because when you have knowledge, then that knowledge can lead you to make choices and also to be aware of what's going on in your nation and your world, so you can advocate or you can just empathize with people. I'm seeing a lot of things that are not empathetic right now. So one way that you can help children to become globally aware is through books. And this is something that I think a lot of people ignore. Again, they think that they have to travel, they need to learn languages, or they need to have knowledge of other cultures by knowing people of that culture, and that's all good. Those are all really good things to do, but to the average person, that's hard to do. And a lot of families can't afford travel, they can't afford learning languages, and they may be in an area where there's very little diversity, but you can still learn about others through books. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, and I'm also going to show you a tool that can help you. So, how do books help children to understand the world? So, the classic article on this is by Rudy Sims Bishop, and I'm going to put it in the description box. And she likens books to windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. And it's a very old classic article from 1990. But it's still used today in a lot of teaching programs, and it's still widely cited. So, what that means is that children need mirrors to reflect themselves. And if you are living in a country that is not primarily of your culture or your language, it's very important that you maintain your culture and your language, and books are a way to do that. Even if you're in a place where maybe you're the only person who speaks your language. I knew people like that when I taught in Tennessee. They were the only speaker of their language in the whole area. And books were a way to maintain your culture. If it's in your language, to maintain your language. That's all good. And you hear about this a lot also, about children who are from marginalized communities, who maybe don't see their skin color, or they don't see their culture represented well in the primary narrative of school, especially in school. You may not read books that feature people like you. So books can help you to be a mirror and to see yourself and to think about yourself in books. Also important, and I believe probably more important for global understanding, books can be windows. So when you think of windows, you open a window and you see the world outside of you. So windows help children to see others and to see the world outside of themselves. Then we have sliding glass doors, and this to me is the most interesting and the most amazing one. Because sliding glass doors, you can enter a different world. So let's say that you don't really know what's going on in Venezuela right now. You don't have much background of that, and to be fair, most of the world doesn't. If you read a book, you can enter that world, and you can really understand what's going on, and that fiction is very powerful for that. So fiction that takes place in other cultures, perhaps even in a different time period, that has led to that culture being the way it is, that could be super helpful for students. So I'm going to show you a resource that will help you to find good quality books from around the world. So this is a site called USBBY. It has
outstanding international books. And the whole idea of it is to increase understanding worldwide, to help students to understand how people live in other cultures and to understand what's going on in the world. So this site is really amazing. I first learned about this in graduate school. Deborah Wooden was one of my mentors, amazing, amazing woman, both personal and professionally, just one of the mentors. If I ever do 10% of what she has done in her life, I will consider myself really successful. She's amazing. But anyway, the committee has done this list. There's a committee, and Debbie's no longer on it because she's retired. But anyway, it has all these different books. So these are the outstanding books for this year. Now, what's really cool is that if I go down, I can get some more information. This is the library journal. And it's an article, but it's a pretty easy to read article. And it features all these different books. It tells you the author, it tells you where it's from. If it's from a different language, it tells you that. So we've got all these different things. We've got a book from Latin America, Mexico. We've got Argentina, Ireland, Japan, Canada, and India. So books that discuss migration. France, Japan, again, Iran, South Korea, Canada, Brazil, China, and they're for all different ages too. Like this is a picture book. And so these are pre-Ks to 2, very young children, grade 2. You've got grades 3 to 5, which are like early chapter books, Russia, Iceland, Canada, Argentina, Portugal, Netherlands, Portugal, Brazil, Greece. Then we've got grades 6 to 8, Norway, Canada, United Kingdom, Brazil, and Angola. Again, talks about migration, which is very important to know about. Sweden, Canada, Sweden. So these are like middle grades books for students in middle grades. Then we've got grades 9 to 12, so big books for students who are in high school. You've got the UK and Ukraine. You've got Mexico. This is about the Ukraine war, so it explains what's going on there. This is a to Italy book, talks about gender-based violence. So again, talking about very advanced topics, controversial topics, Canada. So that is just super helpful, I think, to help you to find books that are interesting and that are well written. They've already been vetted as being really good books. And there's also a PowerPoint presentation of bookmark. Now this is cool. This is a Google map. So let's say that I really want to know about Latin America, about what's going on in Venezuela. I can click on this, and this is a little bit older, so 2022, but it gives me some books. If I click on this, it gives me a book from Venezuela. Let's say I want to know about Australia. Little Bird's Day. See, it tells me from Australia. It gives me a description, and I can always Google that book and find out more about it. So they've got all these different books. Africa, that's something that a lot of students don't know about. Here we have a book about Africa. So that's just one resource that can help you. I also wanted to show you there's also a list for books about people with disabilities. This is something you hear a lot lately about. We are having people with more disabilities in the world, largely because of increased health care. People are living when they otherwise wouldn't live, quite honestly, but they're living with disabilities. So, and there's also being more diagnosis of disabilities. And there's other things going on, but there's just more disabled people in the world. That's just a common thing now. I know I've worked with students who didn't understand at all that some people had disabilities. Other children had disabilities, that people were different in that way. So here it has, this is for 2024, but it has nominated books, and it even gives a little description. This one's about stuttering, so speech disability, which is something that I don't think many people talk about. Here it's a college student, spinal muscular atrophy, so that is physical disability, bone disease, physical disability, a student who doesn't say much, and they use sign language. So again, maybe a communication disability. So there's all these different things. Here it talks about religion and disability, and how disability can be viewed in different religions. So We've got all these different books. Here's like depression and anxiety. So it goes through many different things. And so I feel like that's a really fascinating resource. Because talking about disabilities is important in today's world. And I can even look at the submissions here. But this is just a really good resource. And it's just got a lot of really good information, and it can really help you with global understanding. So, what are some books that you have read that would help either with global understanding or understanding about people with disabilities? I would love to hear from you. You can put it in the description box below. You can put it in your comments. And until next time, please like and subscribe and keep reading.